I was going to start this talk differently, but I figured I'd start by introducing myself. My name is Mercedes Peters, and I'm a Mi'kmaq woman, and I figured I'd let you all know that we're actually sitting and learning today on the traditional unceded and unsurrendered territory of my people, the Mi'kmaq. But I do want to have an uncomfortable conversation with you. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, and so I ask that when you leave, you're honest with yourselves. I'm pretty white-looking for a Native kid, aren't I? And if at least half of you in this audience didn't think, well, how come the Indigenous historian on stage doesn't look Indigenous? I'd be surprised. So congrats if you didn't, but it's okay if you did. But see, that's that thing. It's that precise thought, well, she doesn't look Native, that gives me the privilege that I carry. And I want to remember that. So with that baseline assumption held, I want to have a conversation, all of you and I, about privilege. In particular, about white privilege. So in November 2016, Moroccan Pulitzer Prize finalist Leila Lalami wrote an article for the New York Times called The Identity Politics of Whiteness. And in it, she says that racial identity is taken to be exclusive to people of color. When we speak about race, it is in connection with African Americans or Latinos or Asians or Native people or some other group that has been designated a minority. White is seen as the default, the absence of race. In the school curriculums, 1 month is reserved for the study of Black history, while the rest of the year is just plain history. People will tell you that they are fans of Black or Latin music, but few will claim that they love white music. Whiteness is seen as the default. See, when I walk down the street, people don't point at me and go, there goes a Native woman. But see, the thing is, they also don't go, there goes a white woman. Most people will just say, there's a woman there, and that's if they pick me out of a crowd, because they're not going to notice me, because I am that default, because my skin is white, and I carry those privileges. When people first meet me, they don't automatically assume that I'm Mi'kmaq. I can choose whether or not to tell them that I'm Mi'kmaq, and that is perhaps the biggest privilege that I carry, because there are friends and loved ones of mine who can't make that choice. It means that if I got tired of educating people about Indigenous issues, of feeling sick to my stomach every time the news reports that one of us has gone missing, worrying about how we're going to solve the suicide crisis in our communities, about how we're going to protect our children from water pollution and land desecration, about learning my language fast enough so I can pass it on to my kids so that they won't lose it like I did, I could drop it all and walk away, and no one would ever know. I could be ignorant, blissfully ignorant. I could turn the news off. I could stop clicking the links on my feed, and I could walk away. I could leave those uncomfortable conversations in my classroom that won't follow me out the door anymore because no one knows I'm Native, so no one will ask. I'm a historian. It's my job to kind of dig up the uncomfortable things in the past and tell people how they affect our present. And what I've started to realize is that when I talk about that uncomfortable stuff, people who are now realizing that their ancestors, and yes, themselves, are playing a role in the marginalization of different groups of people, tend to get really uncomfortable. Oftentimes when I'm speaking, I'll tell them something, and they'll say, well, why are you getting so political? Why can't we talk about something else? And that's a privilege that they have because they can walk away from that, because it doesn't necessarily affect them directly. That's a dangerous thing. Two things happen when I have these conversations with people that aren't willing to be uncomfortable because of that privilege that they carry. And the first is that they silence voices, important voices, voices with different experiences than theirs that will challenge that view of what you would think the traditional Canadian narrative would be. Now, there's a blatant kind of silencing. It's the kind where you see racist slurs and threats that get tossed at people for speaking out or for simply existing. But then there's an insidious kind of silencing. It's the most common kind of silencing, and it's scary because it's threatening, or it's not threatening, at least at first, because you don't expect it. And it's that silencing that comes when someone with privilege who isn't recognizing their privilege derails a conversation because it makes them uncomfortable. You see, white voices are valued more. White people are valued more. And that sounds ridiculous, but think of this for a second. When I walk down the street, I don't have to worry about being shot with a racial slur or a threat or a trailer hitch like the one that killed Barbara Kettner in Thunder Bay. I can sit in a university classroom and not have to worry about people wondering whether or not I should be there because they think I'm lazy, because I clearly didn't work to get in, because everybody knows that Natives get free school, right? We don't all get free school, by the way. And when I stand in front of big crowds of people like this and talk about Native issues, they listen to me. They don't write me off as the angry Indian very quickly. I'm not whiny. In fact, they say things like, wow, you are so articulate. You're so patient. You don't get mad at me when I say the wrong thing like other Native people do. My voice, when it isn't automatically connected to my indigeneity, is valued more, often in comparison to other Native voices. And frankly, that scares the hell out of me. Because voices that do not have the same experiences that I do, ones that can change the world, are being shut down. The more privilege that you have, the more power that you have, which means that you have the power to silence, whether you mean to or not. But you also have the power to change the world. You have the power to make things move. In order to do that in a way that does no harm, though, first you have to learn to listen. Listen to people who have had different experiences than yours. Learn to hear what they're saying, even if what they're saying makes you uncomfortable. Try to think about where they're coming from. And most importantly, try to recognize the privilege that you have. In that moment, when we realize that because of things that we cannot control and that we did not earn, we walk an easier path than other people, things like our sexuality, our gender, or the color of our skin, that's when the real work can begin. One of my elders told me once that you can't learn anything new while you're still speaking. The thing is, you also can't learn anything new unless you let the information that goes in sit. So hear it. Don't shut things out when things get uncomfortable. Just listen. Take what we're saying to you and chew on it a while. When we say things like, with privilege, you're helping contribute to a system of marginalization and oppression, we're not saying that you're a bad person individually. We're trying to tell you that if you continue to ignore what we're saying because of your own prejudices that you might not know exist, you're contributing to the problem. Learn and be aware of the privilege that you hold. Or you can walk away. You can ask the instructor to change the subject, like those students in my class did. Yes, they upheld 500 years of colonial silencing in that moment, but you can do that because it won't follow you. You can leave this room and not remember a word that I said. After all, it's pretty easy. I would know. Thank you.